You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
It's the Chase! It's the Chase! Live 1 to 3, Monday through Friday on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville. Listen to Chase and his friends on WKGN. It's the Chase! It's the Scruffy City! Listen to his friends, and his friends are on WKGN. I'm always taking your calls on the Tennessee Vols. It's the Chase! It's the Chase! It's the Chase!
All right, Knoxville, the Chase is on. It's Monday, September 1st, Labor Day. Right behind the Tony Basilio Show, debuting over here on Fan Run Radio and Fox Sports Knoxville. My name is Chase Thomas, joined alongside William Pattison because it is Monday of overtime from 6 to 8 right here on Fan Run Radio and Fox Sports Knoxville, coming to you live from the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios right here in East Tennessee. On that free Fan Run Radio app, download it today if you have not already. You can also watch us on the stream. The stream is bumping today here across the board. All of our shows live stream on Fan Run Sports on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe and join the chat right there on Fan Run Sports as well. And you can jump in today with your calls and texts about Tennessee Vols and their big win over Syracuse in week 1 at 865-966-3435 is the way to jump in today. 865-966-3435 is the way to do so. And now, William Pattison, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Chase. A fun weekend of college football, and we've got another one tonight with TCU and UNC. I sat on my couch from 10 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. on Saturday, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it was great, and it was a great watching weekend. I will say, is this a kind of a bold? I don't know if this is a hot take, but I didn't love college football being on Sunday. Part of me, when I was getting, cozied up on Sunday night, I was looking for that Sunday night football sound. I was getting ready for Collinsworth and Tirico. There is just something weird about college football on Sundays. I think I'm going to be more into UNC TCU tonight and Monday night college football. You remember the Miami Florida State openers on Monday nights back in the day, like that. I mean, college football national championship games have been on Mondays. Like, I am more okay with that. And you also have Maction in the middle of the week. Like, I'm more used to it. Sunday is the one day it just feels weird. And the game obviously was great last night between Notre Dame and Miami, but I don't love college football on Sunday. It's just weird.
Well, I think it's college football taking advantage of the opportunity. NFL starts on Thursday with the Cowboys and Eagles, and you've got a lot of free time this weekend. I mean, you had games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then again tonight. I think it's just college football saying, hey, NFL's not on. Let's put some big games on. And I thought yesterday delivered. I thought Notre Dame, Miami was a fun one. I think, South Carolina, Virginia Tech was a little bit underwhelming. I was really disappointed in Kyron Drones of Virginia Tech, a guy that was highly touted when he got on campus, and it feels like we're in year 3 of the, man, he can be really good. What is he going to be when he's at his full potential? And yesterday made some really bad decisions, and South Carolina looked really strong that opening possession. I mean, South Carolina looked like they were going to win the national championship if you're just basing off of their first couple of plays of the game, and they kind of slowed down after. But I thought Virginia Tech's defense was strong, but South Carolina finds a way to win. And I thought last night was a good one. Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy, I thought, did a good job on the play-by-play. Not as good as Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth, as you may say, but I didn't mind it for Sunday. I thought it was fun.
Okay, I like it. And Sean McDonough is just great. And also the fumbled the snap callback to that Michigan State moment was fantastic from Sean. Yeah. Sean's fantastic across the board. He might be my favorite college football play-by-play host, analyst, guy. Who is it for you?
Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit's the best in the game.
I think back in the day. I think that I would have shared that take in 2009. Kirk Herbstreit, the problem with Kirk is he's just spread too thin. That's my issue. He's just doing too much. He's doing the NFL. He's doing college. He's all over the place. I just don't think it's real. It's kind of the Stephen A. Smith problem. When you take on so much, you don't have time to watch the games. You don't have time to be as informed on that one particular beat that you're on. So I just feel like Kirk is just overly extended at this point in his career. I would, and he and Al Michaels just do not work at all on Thursday Night Football on Amazon. Both I like individually, but together it is a bad product, I think, as a whole. But yeah, I don't know. I still enjoy Fowler and Herb Street, but I don't think Herbie is the same just because I think he's just overextended.
I would push back on that. I think Herb Street is still really strong. And I think the Thursday night crew on Amazon Prime is more so Al Michaels kind of being into the latter years of his career. But I mean, from the research I've done and heading into the LSU Clemson game, I thought Kirk was pretty good on a lot of the points for each team. I thought he picked up on a couple of the key contributors. Like they were talking about Trey'Dez Green early in that game, and Trey'Dez Green had one of the biggest plays of the game, kind of the one-on-one coverage against Davion Terrell, was able to score that touchdown to put LSU up 7. And like just stuff like that. I mean, I just think he still understands college football, knows what he's talking about. I do agree he's a little bit oversaturated doing both college football, college game day, the weekday shows, and also doing the primetime game. But I still think Kirk Herbstreit's really solid, and Chris Fowler's always been a guy that I look up to. So they're still one of my favorites. I'd say Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson's a strong crew still, but it's tough having to watch Big Ten football every weekend. They had Nevada and Penn State this weekend. So tough assignment for them.
100%. We also got intern Garrett here on a Monday. Garrett, how are you doing, sir?
Doing good. Had a good weekend. Went down, watched the Vols in Atlanta. So that was a good time. Came back up, watched some ball yesterday. And now we get one more game tonight. So can't complain about 5 straight nights of football. I feel like that USF Boise game was like 2 weeks ago. It was only like 4 days ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been fun to watch college football. The itch all summer was to want to watch it, and now we got it back. And unfortunately, week 14 will probably be here before we know it. So just try and take advantage of every game that you can.
100%. Well, how was the turnout? It looked like Syracuse did not make the trip, and my fam were at the game, so I'm excited to touch base with my dad and see what he thought of the game as well. But what did you think of the atmosphere as a whole?
I mean, it was okay. I mean, I'm not a big fan of neutral site games. Obviously, I would much rather a game be a home and home. But I mean, I understand the Chick-fil-A kickoff games. They do these every year. They usually draw a pretty good, fan base. Obviously, Tennessee is going to travel well. Knoxville only being 3.5 hours from Atlanta. A lot of, Tennessee alumni living in the Atlanta area. But, yeah, no, I mean, the upper deck was pretty much completely empty. The lower bowl that we were in, like we were in the student section for like the lower, you could either buy upper bowl student tickets, which were like 70, or you could buy lower bowl student tickets that were like 120. And in the section that we were in, there was probably only, I don't know, maybe 50 students. I mean, it was like half empty. So I think just a lot of people didn't make the trip for this one. But I mean, it was still a fun environment. I think the only real time the stadium got really loud was, the big completion to Staley. Other than that, it was a pretty tame environment. But it was still fun to go down there, and I'm glad we made the trip.
There you go. Brett Holander, first day, full-time producer, Monday through Friday. Rocking the Bearden shirt today. Bearden alumni.
Yep.
Tough night on Friday night.
Yeah, that was them and West, right?
West, I saw in person. That was tough.
Both went up to Blount County and got their brains kicked in a little bit. So, but that was kind of to be expected, I think. But doing good. It was much easier. I got a lot accomplished this morning. Usually I'm already here working and things like that. So definitely missed Bob and Sam a little bit this morning, but excited to be here and talk a little football and stuff. I watched a lot of soccer too. Was at the soccer field this weekend. So I've been busy with it all this weekend. So, but yeah, excited to talk about it. Yeah.
You were at a game while Tennessee was going on, right?
I did, yeah.
How did that work?
My buddy was there. He had his iPad. We had Ohio State up and tried to watch it, but also trying to pay attention to our daughter's game. So it wasn't easy, but we tried to do the best we could. I went back and watched extended highlights, different things like that. So I'll share my thoughts. So we know how those can be sometimes.
They're good. I think you're my gut is I'm getting a better and better read on you, Brett, and I will continue over the fall. Yeah.
Okay.
I think you're in a pretty good mood about where Tennessee is.
Okay. Sounds good.
I might be wrong here, William. I might be wrong here a little bit.
I just like to pump the brakes. That's all. So.
Well, we don't have to pump any brakes. We can slow down. We don't have to pump the brakes.
That's how you slow down. You pump the brakes.
Is that pump? Pump seems more aggressive. Pump the brakes, William.
Slam on the brakes means stopping, right?
Okay. What is pump the brakes?
That's like slowing down a little bit, right?
I say pump the brakes a good bit. When I say pump the brakes, it's like, let's take a step back, and I think we're over evaluating this team, or we're a little bit too high on something. That's usually when I say pump the brakes. Like a lot of people are like bashing Clemson and saying Clemson's not a good team. Pump the brakes on that. I think Clemson still is a good team. Antonio Williams misses the whole game, their number one wide receiver, and that then caused LSU to have a lot of different matchups that then were favored in their advantage. So stuff like that. Pump the brakes usually is like, let's not get carried away here.
Yeah. All right, I'll take it. William, your number one thing you're still thinking about from Tennessee, Syracuse 48 hours later is what?
That Joey Aguilar deep shot. I think it's hard not to. 73 yards down the field, but the way it was set up, I think, was really good. And Josh Heupel this offseason, maybe not on the record, but off the record, had talked about changing things up. And I think that was very apparent early in this game, to where first play of the game, you see motion in the backfield that then turns into a wheel route, and then you've got a short cross. I believe it was Chris Brazel or Braylon Staley. One of those two was the guy that came across and made the early play. So first game of the season, you see a new formation, you see motion. I thought that was really important. And then leading up to that deep shot, you had the same type of personnel and same type of look 2 plays before that, and they were both runs. And Joey Aguilar does a really good job on that deep shot of reading the safety who's coming down, trying to bite on that run. And then you've got an opportunity for a big-time play down the field. The quarterback that played in Los Angeles on Saturday would not have been able to make that throw, because last year you had a lot of opportunities down the field, and they were overthrows. This year, at least what I saw on Saturday, is Joey Aguilar is going to be a guy that's a 40% guy, and that's exactly what I projected and had hoped leading up to Saturday, a guy that can hit on at least 40% of his deep shots. And the deep shots from Saturday were either penalized due to pass interference, which is a good thing. Now, one of them was an underthrow, which resulted in a pass interference, but still, it was a winning play. And then that deep shot was perfectly delivered. It was on time. It was in rhythm. And that was something that Tennessee lacked all of last year. And I'm still thinking about it today. It was a beautiful play and well set up.
I like that. And the deep shot is definitely the one that's most ingrained. I would also say, to me, it's the 2 linebacker blitzes have been really strong, because that was something where it's like that whole Colin Cowherd where Chase was right and where Chase was wrong. One of the things that I think I was right on was Tennessee was not going to be able to live off getting home with 4 like they have the last couple of years, and they were going to have to be more aggressive defensively. And Arian Carter and Edwin Spillman, both 2 big sacks in this game, blitzing up the middle. And that's a new wrinkle. We're talking about all the wrinkles offensively. I think that's a huge new wrinkle defensively for Tennessee if they are sending guys like Spillman and Carter at times, because they're I think you need them to take that next step up the middle and help out these defensive linemen, who Tennessee will get to, very banged up on the defensive line there. And we'll talk more about that. But I do think ultimately that the deep shot being back, and then tempo that you saw return here, and Joey Aguilar was just very, very comfortable. And we'll talk more about what the full scope of what we saw from Joey Aguilar in his first start at Tennessee. But I think by and large, Garrett, those are the strong points. Do you have one here that we missed?
I would say, the Colton Hood scoop and score was a fun one. That kind of just felt like you were just throwing it down their throats at that point. Made it 17-0 in the first quarter. That kind of felt like the game was over after that happened. The T-Lander interception when the ball was kind of batted up into the air makes an athletic diving play for an INT there. So I'll give the defense some props on those plays. But, I don't think there's any play other than the Aguilar to Staley that's going to be more hyped up going into next week. I think that video will be shown a lot. That'll probably be one of the best, if not the best, throws that he'll make the entire season.
When we come back, we'll continue the conversation and what we saw from Tennessee offensively, some advanced stats for what happened for Tennessee on the offensive front, and Ricky Gibson, Josh Heupel, talking about Tennessee's starting cornerback. When are we going to see him next with the Tennessee Volunteers this season? All that coming up right after this. Stick with us. The Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
For over 3 years, Crumble Cookies has served the Knoxville area. From Clinton Highway to Parkside Drive, even our friends out in Maryville have reached you, our fans, with the best cookies in the game. This fall, Crumble is gearing up for yet another fantastic season. Whether you're tailgating or looking for a pick-me-up after getting the kids from school, Crumble has you covered. Download the Crumble app to check out this week's rewards and features. And stop on by. Tell them Fan Run sent you, but don't miss the cookies.
Hello, is Tina there?
Who's this?
Yeah, this is Vince from the hit reality show Wives Don't Tell. Tina applied for our show to confess that her husband won't go to the doctor to get his erectile dysfunction checked. She said she's ready for a guy that can bring the heat.
All right, what the is going on? You know you're talking to her husband right now? Tina!
Well, she wrote the application that her man's performance is questionable. She's basically married to a coffee table. She also said, we live within driving distance to Men's Pro Knoxville, but he's too scared to get a blood test.
Oh my, she is done. She is so done.
Gotcha, Mike. It's Nephew Tommy. Ain't no reality show. It's a prank. Men's Pro Knoxville is the real deal, fellas. Local experts, test results in minutes. Call 865-544-8220 or hit men'sproknoxville.com before your lady books a new co-star. Men's Pro Knoxville, making it happen.
Got a flat tire? Strange noise under the hood? Don't stress. Roll into Matlock Tire and Auto Service. From oil changes and brake repairs to brand new tires, Matlock's certified techs do it all. Fast, friendly, and fair priced, Matlock is the home of the price match guarantee. Bring in any competitor's ad and Matlock will match the exact same tire for the exact same price. Matlock Tire and Auto Service. 5 locations in East Tennessee. Visit MatlockTireService.com to find the location nearest you and schedule your appointment.
Yee-haw! I've been hooting and hollering ever since I started betting with the VIP Play app. VIP Play has more than 200 leagues, every bet type you can imagine, live betting and live hosts, all with 24/7 support from real live people when you need them. Start betting better with the VIP Play app today.
Don't be a better, be a better with VIP Play today.
Download VIP Play today or head to VIPPlayApp.com. Make sure you use the promo code FANRUN to take advantage of their welcome bonus and so they know that we sent you. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-8899-789. Must be 21 or older and located in Tennessee to bet. Ready to launch your career? Axle Logistics is a leading third-party logistics company where excellence is an energy. With an award-winning culture, Axle proves that positive outcomes come from a positive environment and a work hard, play hard mentality. At Axle, the drive for success is infectious. And with an uncapped commission structure, hard work isn't just noticed, it's rewarded. For those with big goals and even bigger dreams, Axle Logistics is the place to start your career.
It's the Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. Also streaming live on YouTube, Fan Run Sports. Check us out there on the YouTube channel, growing more and more each and every day. You can text us, 865-966-3435 is a way to jump in here today with William Pattison of Overtime 6 to 8 right here on Fan Run Radio as well. 865-966-3435 is the way to jump in and talk some Tennessee Vols on this Victory Monday. William Pattison, Jordan Moore on X, he had an interesting tweet where he said, quote, Tennessee had an 85.2 offensive grade against Syracuse on Saturday, according to PFF. That is the highest offensive grade for a Tennessee offense since 2016. So did that feel like that in real time? And also, what looked best to you offensively about Tennessee in week one here?
Yeah, good stuff from Jordan. I'm having him on the show later tonight on Overtime if you want to listen to him, and we'll go a little bit deeper into some of those new formations and those PFF grades. But going back to, what Tennessee's offense looked like on Saturday, I go back to what I talked about in the opening segment, just a lot of new. And I thought it was creative stuff to where you introduce some pre-snap motion, which we didn't really see a whole lot of over the last couple of years. And then you had plays where you would continually set up for a deep shot. And again, execution is a big thing in a lot of this, to where, last year you would have opportunities, you just wouldn't be able to execute. And I thought Tennessee did that on Saturday, to where you successfully set up a play and executed it when the opportunity arose. Another play I didn't talk about that I also want to mention is kind of a delayed halfback screen that was used a couple of times. And there was one play in particular that went for about 25, 30 yards. And it was Deshaun Bishop was the back. It looks like Aguilar is going to, throw on the left side of the field. You wait. The offensive line moves into position. By the way, the offensive line I thought was really strong. Jesse Perry did a great job filling in for David Sanders, as he was a late scratch heading into the game. But that delayed halfback screen, Deshaun Bishop gets it, good blocking in front of him, and it picks up 20, 25 yards, 30 yards. Stuff like that. I just thought the creativity was my biggest takeaway. And that's why I think that PFF grade is so strong, because you had the opportunity to showcase what you've worked on in the offseason, what you've implemented into this offense, and there wasn't a whole lot of film on it. And by the way, I don't think we've seen the best of this offense yet. You're going to see a lot of new stuff against Georgia, to where you understand how big of a game this is. You understand that this is probably the best opportunity you have to beat the Bulldogs, as they'll be coming into Neyland Stadium in week 3. They have struggled in years past in that first SEC road game. Hell, Kentucky gave Georgia a run for their money last year. So just the newness and the adaptiveness to what you've done in years past, I think, is what set up for a really successful day. And I'd really say third quarter, you got a little bit sleepwalky as well. I thought you got very conservative with some of your play calling. It very easily could have been a lot higher of a grade if you continued to have your foot on the pedal.
Yeah, and I think the third quarter, you had that series, which was really bizarre, where they had DeJuan Morris in, and I liked DeJuan Morris long term, but I didn't think that was the spot to throw him in there, and it was just a quick 3 and out for Tennessee, and they were kind of stuck in the mud, and honestly, after the first quarter, where Tennessee had 17 points in that first quarter, the game was pretty even for the next 3, and Syracuse was at the doorstep of covering there at the end, as John Reed of Talk Sports is talking about there, and it felt like one of the things that I saw coming out was like, oh, well, I'll save this, the defensive line, because I think a lot of Tennessee fans are looking at like, oh, everyone's worried about the defense, but they still limited Syracuse to 2.3 yards per carry. And it's like, well, no, that's including the Syracuse sacks from Angeli. So he was like minus 25 yards. So it was like actually both running backs were about 4 yards to carry in this one. And Willis was especially really good in this game for Syracuse. So Tennessee's rush defense, I think, was not up to what we've seen the last couple of years, but there's multiple reasons for that, part of which is like your starting defensive tackle in the interior went out very early and did not return in Jackson Moy, but we'll continue that on later on in this show. But I think in terms of the offense part of it, the thing that stood out to me was like, when you think about NC State and Virginia the last 2 years, and those openers with Joe and Nico, what felt different was it just didn't feel as hard. You know what I mean? Where it just felt the closest we have felt to Hendon Hooker's tempo, comfortability. I don't think it's a coincidence that both were 24 years old in the year that they were very comfortable in this Heupel scheme, that being Aguilar and Hooker. But to me, I don't want to say it felt easy, but it just felt like the tempo is when it's working the way it was working at times in the first half on Saturday for Tennessee, you're like, yeah, this is how it's all supposed to work. Because part of what I was saying this offseason was, I think a lot of people were like, 12 personnel, I'm worried about the receivers. We're going to live with Miles Kitselman and Ethan Davis. The tight ends had one catch going into the fourth quarter, I believe, and that was Miles Kitselman. So the tight ends were not a big factor in the passing game at all, and that is better for Tennessee. Their early best offenses where Tennessee was top 10 in scoring the first years of Heupel, tight ends were an afterthought. Like where they excelled was in the red zone with Princeton Fant. And he was kind of a H-back tight end type deal. But the best version of Heupel's teams offensively is when the tight ends are not a heavy part of the passing game. It was kind of that thing. If Miles Kitcheman led Tennessee in receiving last year, Tennessee had a bad day on offense. And I think that's still the case when the difference between Braylon Staley having that 73-yard pass and Mike Matthews, who had, I think, the best cut of the day, where late in that second half, he made the first guy miss. Because I said Mike and Boo are the two guys who have that wiggle to make the first guy miss. And you saw that on display for Mike yesterday. And hopefully we get more Mike Matthews touches here against ETSU and then going to Georgia to see what he can really do with an increased usage and increased targets for Tennessee. But that's what it has to be. Tennessee has to take those deep shots. Tennessee has to get the receivers a much bigger part of this offense. I think Chris Brazzell had some bad drops in this one. I mean, one of them like right off his chest, and then another one that would have gone for 6. But by and large, I think Brazzell looked improved than what we saw last year. And he's kind of like, hey, I want Javonte Payton out of Chris Brazzell. I don't expect Cedric Tillman. I don't expect Dante Thornton last year. But if you're telling me I can get some kind of production from Javonte Payton-ish or Ramel Keaton even from 2022, then I'll live with that. But I don't think that go-to guy or anything like that is going to be the thing. But Braylon Staley, man, in the slot, the wide splits were not as common in this game. Like Tennessee was closer. The wide receivers were not out at the hash marks every play. And you saw that. The pistol, obviously, something that's in there. And then Tennessee, anyone who was worried about Tennessee's rushing attack post Dylan Sampson, you and I did not worry about it post Dylan Sampson.
No.
I hope every fan who was kind of like, oh, we lost the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. You're probably still going to run the heck out of the football and run it in an elite clip. Tennessee ran all over Syracuse, whether it was Deshaun Bishop, Peyton Lewis, who looked the best of the group, I think, as a whole. Like that drive where he runs over people. Peyton has the best blend of power and speed that no one else really has. Like Bishop, the speed's still not there. He got caught bad. I love Deshaun Bishop. Speed's not there at this level. And then you have Star Thomas, who is just such a great third back who just is experienced. He knows exactly what he's supposed to be for Tennessee, and they just wear on you. And Tennessee's going to wear on teams once again with the amount of versatility they have in the backfield. And Tennessee's just going to be just fine at running the football. But the offense as a whole, man, I don't know how you can't be optimistic about where things are with the offense. But I don't know. I think I'm pretty positive. I think the main issue is Joey Aguilar, and I think fans are going to talk about this over the next couple weeks, is he just has to clean up throwing high. And that's not getting cleaned up. Joey Aguilar is going to miss high constantly. Joey Aguilar is going to be kind of inaccurate. He was 50% going into the fourth quarter, completion percentage-wise. That is just kind of who he is, you know? I don't know if you share that, but I just don't see the 24-year-old quarterback flipping the script here and becoming Hendon Hooker 70% accuracy as the course of the season goes on. And I don't think you necessarily need that to be a 9-ish win team this year. It's just, to me, I think that's kind of who he is, but he's going to take those deep shots. And as long as he hits 2-ish of those Braylon Staley balls a game, that is just fine for Tennessee.
Well, I would disagree that if he does not correct his accuracy, that Tennessee would still be a 9-3 team, because you're going to go up against, an Oklahoma and a Florida, and I think those games could go either way, and you need every single big play in those matchups to where you cannot afford to have some of the misfires on Saturday. As good as Joey Aguilar looked in game 1 for Tennessee, I will say my main gripe was he's got to bring the ball down, and you cannot have overthrows on 5-yard, dump offs or, 10-yard, like intermediate stuff. You should not be having overthrows. An overthrow on a deep shot, 50 yards down the field, I can understand, because that's, a higher level of difficulty. But when a guy is running a routine route, whether it be a slant, an out, a drag, whatever it may be, you've got to be able to hit those. And you can't overthrow a guy when he's, that close in distance to you. So I would push back on that. But on your points about the running backs room, I've said multiple times, I think this is the best running backs room that Josh Heupel has had at Tennessee. I think every single one of them showed what they could do on Saturday, where Peyton Lewis puts his head down and can go right through you. Deshaun Bishop, I think, is an experienced, crafty guy that might not have the speed per se, but I think he's got really good vision, and that showed. And Star Thomas is the utility knife, a guy that you can put in the backfield as a runner, but also as a dominant pass catcher. I thought the running backs did a really good job, but again, I go back to the offensive line. I thought they held their own. And that's what set up for Joey Aguilar to have opportunities down the field. That's what set up for the running back room to have a ton of success. And, Sham Umarov, gets the start late into this one. Jesse Perry, we knew was impressive during training camp. But I mean, even without your best group out there, David Sanders is a late scratch. I thought Tennessee's offensive line did a really good job. So just some nitpicky things for Aguilar, bringing the football down, being a little bit more accurate. I don't necessarily think he's going to have a huge jump from when you look at his career numbers, but those intermediate routes, that stuff is fixable, and that's got to change when you get into SEC play.
Yeah, I do think the offensive line, Garrett, was a huge net positive. And I think one of the best examples as to why is you did not hear Jesse Perry's name at all. And it's because Jesse Perry just did he was a plug and play right tackle when we thought he was going to be a right guard, because as William talked about, David Sanders, a late scratch in this one. And Tennessee didn't miss a beat. Tennessee's offensive line is the strongest it's been since 2022 too. I think when you look around, you talk about the running back room, William, I just look at the offensive line. Lance Hurd, he graded out great in PFF. He was great when you watch it. Sam Pendleton, plug and play center, no issues really snapping the football or anything like that. So that is a sneaky, huge development that Sam Pendleton, seemingly after one game, is going to be just fine replacing Cooper Mays. But I thought the offensive line was fantastic, and you're going to be completely okay with that Sham having to go in there in a pinch. Maybe you rotate Sham and Jesse Perry a little bit to conserve some of those guys, because I think Sham showed you enough that he can play at this level and has made that leap. So I don't know if you're on the same wavelength as us, Garrett, but what did you think about the offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it looked really good. I mean, especially with Sanders being out, obviously late scratch. I mean, I'm walking into the stadium 70 minutes before the game starts and see the on-3 report that he's not going to play. And then, obviously you have to have the substitution go in for him. And yeah, the offensive line was, I mean, no one made any, gaping holes where they gave up a sack that was bad, or anybody made a mistake that they really should not have made. I thought, when the offensive line is quiet and no one's talking about them, that's usually a pretty good sign that they did their job. Obviously they helped the rushing attack. The rushing game was really good. As you said, passing game was good as well. I thought they netted out pretty well. Obviously you said their PFF grades, a lot of them had good grades there. So I thought the offensive line looked good. That was one of the position groups over the summer that we were maybe a little lower on, but I mean, still thought that they could have a good season, and for them to go out in the first game and kind of assert dominance on the Syracuse D-line like that, I thought that was pretty impressive.
Brett.
Hey, Chase.
How are you feeling, man? Is this helping you 30 minutes into the show? Are you feeling good?
Yeah, you guys have changed my mind completely. 10-2, 11-1 now. No, it's
I never said that now.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's just you can only react to of what you've seen so far, and what you've seen so far is it's good.
Yeah.
Is it going to go win here in a couple of weeks when the true test comes? But for 1 week, I think with not knowing a lot of who these guys were, who's healthy, what Aguilar's actually is all about besides playing at App State, I mean, you got to say it was positive. And putting up 45 points is putting up 45 points no matter who you're playing against. So I think it's a net positive, I would say, overall.
Yeah, the only thing, it is going to be interesting to follow the accuracy stuff. And I just think part of it is what's going to help Aguilar is if the tackles are really good and the offensive line's good. If he has time, he's obviously that one of the big differences is Aguilar was not playing from behind in this game. He wasn't having to press. He wasn't having to kind of freak out. And I think in most games this year, Joey Aguilar is not going to have to panic and feel like he has to play hero ball, that sort of thing. The offense as a whole looks fine. I do think there was one. Did you see the pick six drop from Syracuse where the ball was deflected to the line and the Syracuse player, this was in the red zone, Tennessee was driving, and the Syracuse safety was he grabbed his helmet and everything else because he had read Aguilar's eyes the whole way, and Tennessee was doing a quick slant inside. They would have housed it. It would have been a 90-plus yard interception return for a touchdown. That's the stuff over the middle of the field that is still TBD for me. When Georgia gets ready and Aguilar is going to try and fit those balls over the middle to Braylon Staley, that's when we'll know, hey, are we going to have to put the training wheels back on and do the whole side-to-side, run the football, tight end, 12 personnel stuff? Because you weren't going to learn that against Syracuse. You're not going to learn that against ETSU. Where you learn that is against Georgia. Can Aguilar fit those highly congested areas with Braylon Staley, Miles Kitzman, whoever, Ethan Davis, whoever's doing those crossers over the middle? Can he keep the ball out of harm's way and make those plays and still find ways to take the shots down the field, but not get Tennessee into trouble in the intermediate stuff? Because they have the fumble, but that happens. I mean, Dylan Sampson had fumbling problems last year, and it is what it is. It's totally fine. I just think that one was one that got forgotten, but I don't know if you saw it in real time. But Syracuse had a pick six from Aguilar, but thankfully it was tipped to the line.
Yeah, being the college football sicko I am, I sat there for 3 hours in Marshall and Georgia this weekend, and Georgia's defense looked the part. I know Marshall scored, but it wasn't until the fourth quarter when Georgia's second and third stringers were in. But that's going to be a really tall task, and once again, they're brimming with speed and experience in the secondary. I think KJ Bolden is a really, really strong defensive back, and they've got Everett back as well. So that's going to be a good Georgia team, and obviously, what you did against Syracuse this weekend is only going to be really doubled or tripled what you're going to face against Georgia. But I will give credit to Fran Brown. Fran Brown has done a great job at Syracuse, and I think those DBs were well prepared. Obviously, there were a couple of big plays given up here and there, but I thought for the most part, guys like Deuce Chestnut were all over the field, and I think Fran Brown did a good job. Obviously, I just think they were just outmanned on the line of scrimmage and in skill position wise. But it's not like Tennessee went up against a bad defense or not a well-coached defense. I thought Fran Brown did the best job he could with what he has. And I thought the DBs, for the most part, were pretty good outside of their fake injury. I wasn't a fan of that. Both those guys were going down at one time trying to figure out which one was going to go. But Brett, I'm with you. I don't think Tennessee after this weekend is now like a college football playoff team, 11-1, and none of that. I still project Tennessee to be 8-4, 9-3. I think there's a very small margin of error there, and that one loss would be to Oklahoma. But I guess that that differentiating loss would be Oklahoma. But I will say I thought Tennessee looked better than I expected them to look like in game one. Yeah. And I mean, Josh Heupel has put up an average of 39.5 points per game heading into Saturday against Power 4 non-SEC opponents. And I was interested to see if Tennessee would get up to that number. Now they surpassed it with 45, but I projected kind of like 38 or, in kind of that low to mid 30s range. But Tennessee was able to, move down the field pretty efficiently when they wanted to. I just go back to that third quarter and thought they got a little bit lackadaisical.
Isn't it kind of funny that the two best quarterbacks thus far in the Heupel era have been the two that were just kind of throw-ins in the Heupel era?
Well,
you're already putting them in that category?
I'm definitely putting them ahead of Joe Milton at this point.
Brett, I'm about to say,
that's one.
I'd pump the brakes on that.
That's where that phrase comes in.
I'd pump the brakes on that.
You can't say that yet.
We didn't see this tempo with Milton and Nico. I just think the comfortability,
good throws and good plays and things like that.
Joe Milton was struggling at home against Austin Peay. And we had Nico early on where, he threw darts all over the place against Chattanooga and company, but it was a struggle early on.
We were putting him in New York.
That NC State game, I mean,
he was okay. I mean, it was 12 personnel. It was mostly Miles Kitselman was leading that show. I wouldn't say Nico was balling out against NC State. The defense kind of saved you. I mean, you were in a dogfight middle of the second quarter in that game, and Will Brooks' pick six was huge.
Also one score. I mean, they threatened.
No, but Tennessee's offense was rolling out of the gate. Like Tennessee and Joey Aguilar was comfortable. Like the tempo was there.
You can say that after one game.
It's overreaction, underreaction Monday, Brett. My overreaction right now is Joey Aguilar.
I don't think there's a word for what you just said.
Well, hyperbolic.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't throw Joey Aguilar as a top 2 quarterback in the Heupel era yet.
I will be surprised now at this point if he is not by the end of the year, based on what we've seen thus far. A huge overreaction. We'll see how it goes against Georgia and company, but by and large, I think he is the most.
The rest of the SEC for that.
I mean, he's going to be fun, man. Joey Aguilar, I think, is going to be. And I have another thing. And Will Heflin, of former Tennessee baseball player, he was on with Tony Basilio in his overtime reaction show, and he made a good point that I think he said something along the lines, and I tend to agree with this, is that Joey has the kind of mentality and the composure and the gunslinger stuff where he showed he's going to upset one of the teams that we are not expecting Tennessee to upset this year. He has that potential. But it's also, I think, the other way, too, where Tennessee might drop a game with kind of this mercurial nature and the gunslinger stuff of Aguilar. We're not looking at it as a loss right now. I know you've got the Oklahoma questions at home for Tennessee. Could it be at Kentucky? Could it be at Mississippi State? Could it be Arkansas at home? Could it be, dare I say, Vanderbilt at home down the stretch this year where Aguilar has a rough day at the office, and Tennessee's defense being closer to the 30s than the top 5, which is where I think they're in defensive efficiency for ESPN's FPI after this game is I think they're somewhere in the 30s. But we shall see. When we come back, we'll continue the Tennessee conversation here with William Pattison of Overtime 6 to 8. Monday through Friday right here on Fan Run Fox Sports Knoxville. You can also watch us on Fan Run Sports on the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, as all of our shows are streaming for free on that YouTube channel, Fan Run Sports. Subscribe today, and you can also listen on that free Fan Run radio app. We'll be right back after this.
Catch up with all things Fan Run by subscribing to our podcast feed. Like, rate, and download the show from the Fan Run app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, folks, if you're in need of a lawyer, you need to call my friend Jerry Givens. I've known Jerry since high school and can personally vouch for him. He's East Tennessee through and through, and if you're going through a divorce, bankruptcy, or a DUI case, you'll need someone you can trust on your side to help you navigate the local legal system. You can trust Jerry Givens. Call the law offices of Jerry Givens today at 865-801-9250 to schedule your free consultation. That's 801-9250.
Blackford Veterinary Surgery Referral specializes in surgeries not regularly performed by your pet's general veterinarian. They're currently accepting referrals from vets all across the country. With their newly renovated state-of-the-art surgery center and highly trained staff, clients can rely on professional and thorough care. If your vet says that your pet needs surgery or rehab, ask for a referral to Blackford Vet and let them get your best friend back on its feet. Located conveniently in West Knoxville. For more information, visit blackfordvetsurgery.com.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your home exterior needs. If your home needs new siding, windows, doors, gutters, handrails, a deck, or a new roof, then give my friends at North Knox Siding and Windows a call at 865-689-0505. You can also visit their showroom at 5618 North Broadway. Locally owned and operated and proudly serving all of Knoxville and the surrounding areas, North Knox Siding and Windows. Online at northknoxsidingandwindows.com.
Have you ever found yourself wishing your clothes looked brand new again? Whether it's your favorite suit, that little black dress, or your comfy winter coat, Crown Cleaners can make it happen. From stubborn stains to delicate fabrics, the expert team at Crown Cleaners uses the latest cleaning technology to ensure your clothes come back looking and feeling fresh. Visit one of their 2 area locations, Kingston Pike on Bearden Hill or South North Shore Drive near Dunkin' Donuts. Online at crowncleaners.com. Crown Cleaners, a tradition of excellence.
White Claw is taking hard seltzer to new heights with White Claw Surge. At 8% alcohol, White Claw Surge is a stronger wave of refreshment that doesn't compromise on taste. Available in 4 bold waves of flavor like ripe blackberry, citrusy blood orange, zesty natural lime, and tart cranberry. Check out your favorite retailer in-store and online for the White Claw Surge Variety 12-pack and 16-ounce single-serve cans. White Claw Surge. Please drink responsibly.
Rickard Ridge Barbecue, located in beautiful Cove Lake State Park. Rickard Ridge is home of the best ribs in the Volunteer State. Smoked daily by Pitmaster Mark Rickard. The barbecue at Rickard Ridge is mouth-watering, fall-off-the-bone delicious. Take the scenic drive up I-75 to exit 134. For directions and to look at the rest of the menu, visit Rickard Ridge online at rickardridgebbq.com.
Got a problem tree looming over your home? Call ECR Total Landscapes. Whether it's trimming, removal, or storm cleanup, our certified pros get the job done safely and efficiently. We're licensed, insured, and ready 24/7 for emergency calls. Big or small, we cut them all. ECR Total Landscapes. Call now for a free estimate, 865-384-2012, and mention promo code FANRUN for free stump grinding on any tree removal now through the end of the year. Also, visit us at ecrtotallandscapes.com.
In a world filled with deadlines and screens, sometimes we forget the simple joys of life, days filled with special moments. At Inward Half, we understand the essence of these moments. Feel the difference between our breathable fabrics and flexible apparel as you disconnect from the hustle and bustle and reconnect with what truly matters. Inward Half, simple luxury for on and off the course.
It's the Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. William Pattison of Overtime 6 to 8 right here on Fan Run Radio in the house on this Monday. We also got Garrett Armbrust and Brett Holander with us. Full house here on this Labor Day weekend. We hope you guys are having a fun and safe Labor Day all across East Tennessee and Knoxville and all across the country, because guess what? You can listen to this very show 1 to 3 Monday through Friday on that free Fan Run Radio app anywhere, wherever, and also on YouTube streaming live there from 1 to 3 as well on our YouTube channel. Tony Basilio made his debut over on Fan Run Radio today. You can hear him on our airwaves from 1 to 3. Talk Sports made the move to 8 to 11, so 1 hour up for John Reed, Sam Beard, Cody McClure, and Bubba. So it was a great show there to kick things off this morning. And then we got The Drive, Bob Baskerville making his debut full-time with Russell Smith and the Bear from 3 to 6. And then, of course, right here, William Pattison right here from 6 to 8, Monday through Friday as well on Overtime. So jam-packed 12 hours of content right here on WKGN, Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM. As we continue on, Ricky Gibson got banged up in this game. Jackson Moy got banged up in this game. Nathan Robinson got hurt twice in this game. A lot of Tennessee defensive players got dinged up in Tennessee's big-time victory over Syracuse, William. The biggest one, Heupel confirmed today in his presser that Ricky Gibson is out for an extended period of time. And Ty Redmond, the true freshman they clearly like a lot, he played a whole heck of a lot. He, I think, held his own in a major way against Syracuse, and a pretty competent wide receiver trio. Yes, they lost Trevor Pena and company from last year, but I still think with Jonte Cook and company, like they have good talent over there in Syracuse country. But what do you make of the loss of Ricky Gibson for an extended period of time? Because now Tennessee's top two corners are out for the next several weeks, that being Jermon McCoy and Ricky Gibson.
Well, it puts a lot of pressure on Jermon McCoy and when he's able to come back for this team, because now you're down your top two guys defensively in the secondary. Ty Redmond was really, really impressive. I thought him and Colton Hood were my standout performers defensively on Saturday. Redmond was the highest graded PFF player for the Volunteers defensively on Saturday as well. So he stepped up, but Georgia is going to be a little bit of a different battle than Syracuse, where you have Zachariah Branch that looked really strong on Saturday for the Bulldogs, Noah Thomas, the transfer from Texas A&M, Colby Young, Dylan Bell. This is a very solid wide receiver room, an improved wide receiver room from last year for the Bulldogs, and you're going to have all hands on deck. Again, if you want to knock off Georgia, you've got to have all your best guys available. Not having Ricky Gibson is going to be a really, really tough development for this Volunteers team. And also, I mean, Jermon McCoy being out, I presume, is still going to be out for this Georgia game. It's going to put a lot of pressure on guys that are have to step up. And as good as Redmond was, I don't know if he's ready to step up against a Georgia as opposed to Syracuse. So not good at all. And depth is now becoming a concern for this Tennessee defense. Let's be real. The Tennessee defense wasn't that great on Saturday. You got gashed in the run game. Look at the numbers, and it only says, what was it, 2 yards a carry?
Yeah, but that was, with the sacks.
Adjusted with the sacks involved. That second half, Syracuse did whatever they wanted in the run game, and that was a big concern. Just imagine what Georgia is going to be able to do with Nate Frazier returning this season. So, I know the defense made some plays. Colton Hood, that was a really good one. Jeremiah Telander with the interception off the deflection, that was a really good one, but that was not the Tennessee defense we saw last year, and Tim Banks has a big 2 weeks ahead of him trying to reevaluate personnel and formations, and also try to figure out who's going to step up for Gibson and McCoy. So, Jermon, if you're out there and you're feeling a little bit better, feel free to come in and play. We'd love to see you. I know you don't have a whole lot to lose. Or I guess, let me change that. I know you have a lot to lose if you do play. But for Tennessee football's sake, he needs to be back on the field.
And I also think with this announcement with Gibson, the Boo Carter stuff has to end. Boo Carter has to be your starting star, and you have to move Jalen McMurray down. Because, yes, you love what you got from Ty Redmond in that spot, but if he's going to be out for an extended period of time, you need Boo Carter to play a whole bunch of snaps against ETSU to knock the rust off. Because I think he was rusty. He played in those first couple series. He played in 2 series, I think, in the first half. He was on the early series that Nathan Robinson forced the fumble and Colton Hood picked it up and ran it in. I saw Boo was one of the guys in the end zone celebrating. So he got 2 series by my count William in that first half, but that has to end. Jalen McMurray has to slide down now. He has to be one of your top 2 corners. Ty Redmond is your swing, I think, 3rd corner, and Boo Carter is getting all the snaps at star. Like, that has to end. And it's just, you're too thin. You can't play this game anymore. Boo Carter has to be playing. He has to be returning punts. Like, that was insane. We were fair catching punts, and it didn't end up mattering because we ended up beating Syracuse. But, William, did you see, who was it back there? Was it Dwan Morris, where he had like 10 yards of real estate, and he fair caught it? He had the fair catch signal on way ahead of time, and it was like, oh, if Boo was back there, Boo could have done something with that and had some space. But I thought that was extremely silly that Boo Carter was not returning punts on Saturday at the very least, especially if you're going to play him on defense. Why would you not put Boo Carter back on punt returns? Like, you were rotating Braylon Staley in there. You had Dwan Morris in there at times. That was just overthinking it. It was like that whole galaxy brain stuff where it's like, come on, like, Boo Carter should have been returning punts on Saturday. That was ridiculous. But now I think you have to use ETSU as Boo Carter get right week, where Boo, hey, you're back in the rotation now. You're starting at star. We're going to play a bunch of snaps. We need you to make some plays. Like, you know what? Like, he needs to get ready because he is going to be a big factor in Georgia. You should not expect to have Jermod McCoy and Ricky Gibson against Georgia. Jalen McMurray has to play corner. You cannot put a true freshman out there against Noah Thomas and Colby Young and Dylan Bell and company. That's not fair for Ty Redmond to put him in that spot. Sorry, can't do it. Jalen McMurray has to be on one side. Colton Hood, who looks like the best transfer portal addition this cycle, is on the other. And Boo Carter, you are playing and starting at star from here on out, right?
Yeah, I was actually surprised that Boo Carter did not start on special teams. That was one of the things I projected heading into the game. But look, Carter did have a couple of nice plays. He had one play that should have been a really big one that he whiffed on, but he had a good PBU on, in the red zone. I thought that was a good play. But he should have had that sack on what was a 3rd and long, I believe, for Syracuse that they ended up executing. And, knocking off the rust is one thing, but he's got to be able to play extended minutes and more snaps. And I was a little bit disappointed to see that on Saturday. At least need him back on the special teams unit. Can't be trusting a freshman and Dwan Morris back there, especially in a game against a Georgia where the margin of error is going to be very, very thin.
100%. I don't know what we're doing. Like, I don't know what we're doing. If he's playing at all, start him on special teams. Like, what player is like, whoa, you can't put Boo back there for not starting him at star? It's like, no, you all understand that Boo Carter is your best punt returner and that Boo Carter should be back there. And hopefully he's back against ETSU, but you got to get him right. I want reps because guess what? ETSU is probably going to be punting a lot this Saturday afternoon inside Neyland Stadium. I want Boo Carter returning punts. I want him getting acclimated, getting back there, and I want him playing a whole heck of a lot of star because he has to play a bunch of snaps in Georgia. He is one of those X factors, and you're too thin at corner to mess around now. Like, it's just, you're too thin. Colton Hood is awesome. Colton Hood on one side, Jalen McMurray on the other. Ty Redmond is your 3rd corner. Like, that is how it should look on Saturday against Georgia, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. And you need those guys available. And the Ricky Gibson thing is, I think, a really big development for this Tennessee team. Bad news to begin the season.
100%. And Brett, when you look at the defensive line and linebackers, when I was looking at the defense as a whole, because I think a lot of fans were frustrated with what the defense did, especially in the second half. I still think the secondary is the strongest unit, even with the injuries. I think Idris Farouk popped for me in this game. I think he looked really good and is going to be a long-term answer there. Andre Turntine, solid as ever. Colton Hood made plays.
He was your lowest graded secondary or lowest graded player on defense.
Who?
So, Turntine, I believe.
That's great for Tennessee if that's the case, because Turntine's fine. Like, Turntine's a 17 straight game starter. He's not going to be the big play guy. He just needs to be solid back there. But Colton Hood was, I think, Tennessee's best graded defensive player as a whole on Saturday. So Colton Hood, fantastic. He was confident, and you have to be confident to be a lockdown corner. I think that just comes to the territory to be able to be like, I can stop anybody. He was confident after the game, and that's great. Like, Colton Hood has been a big time addition for Tennessee. He looks like a multi-year starter at corner for them. But you also, I feel good about Jalen McMurray. He was fine at star. He made that deflection that Jeremiah Thielander caught for an interception. I thought, like I said, Idris Farouk was good, and then Boo Carter's just waiting in the wings. But I think Ty Redmond looks like a great eval by Willie Martinez.
Yeah, we
and
never
his staff.
talked about him much, did we?
Yeah, I mean, he was good. Like, they tested Ty Redmond in this game, and Ty, I think, came up big for Tennessee. He graded pretty well on PFF too, but I just think when I was looking around, it's the front seven that I think has some problems, and I think they're rotating a bunch at linebacker. William Mange loves that, but I mean, Jaden Harmon was getting some run. Ben Bolton was in there. You had Jeremiah Thielander in there at times. Arion Spillman. They don't know who their top two are yet. I mean, I think we agree on the top two is Edwin Spillman and Aaron Carter, but I think because Inge likes to rotate so much, we're just going to see a whole heck of a lot of guys in and out there. But the front four, I said all offseason, and people were like, oh, it's Rodney Garner, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I still love Rodney. I love Coach Job. Caleb Herring had a bad game on Saturday. Caleb Herring did not look like he's someone who's going to take that leap behind Joshua Josephs. Jordan Ross had a great TFL where he just threw the guy onto the ground, a great read. And Jordan Ross looks like the James Pierce type on the edge, and I think he's going to be that guy for me. But Joshua Josephs was your best defensive lineman. I don't even think it was close in this football game. But Don Bailey, not great. Bryson Eason had a rough day at the office. Jackson Moy knocked out. Nathan Robinson was fantastic. He just can't stay healthy. Like, the guy is great when he plays, but he got hurt twice in this game. And you were playing a bunch of freshmen. Isaiah Campbell didn't really get much run, which I was kind of surprised about. But Jamal Wallace was okay.
Did you say Moy got hurt?
Yeah, Moy got hurt early.
Yeah,
like,
he's
so
out for the Saturday already, I believe. So
that one seems.
What's she have to do? You don't need him.
Right. I think Moy seems like I would be surprised, William, if he's not playing against Georgia. Based on how Heupel talked about it seems like that one is more, we're just being precautious when it comes to Moy. Gibson, it feels like extended can mean a while.
If Josh Heupel says extended, I expect probably 2 months.
Yeah. It's not great. Like, the Gibson stuff just does not seem like a positive development at all. Boy, I would be floored if he's not starting against Georgia.
Like, I'd say Ricky Gibson probably returns against Alabama or the week before Mississippi State.
Hopefully, yeah.
But it'd be cool. Ricky and Jermod coming out together on the road against Bama, like that. They return together. They simultaneously come back, and it's just like the Bash Brothers and the Mighty Ducks trilogy.
Georgia is a big game. It's not like it used to be. Like, you can suffer a loss. Like,
yeah, but would that be a good? I don't want them to wait. So I want those guys back as soon as possible.
I feel like Florida could be for something, and some of these Oklahoma. Like, I feel like you want these guys to be healthy. Like, don't run your risk of getting out there and then losing for the season possibly.
You get 2 mulligans. I mean, like, I just think if you beat Georgia early in the season, you're setting yourself up for a much easier path to the college football playoff than losing that one. You will not beat Alabama on the road. I don't care how bad they look this weekend, and the fact that they got manhandled and Ty Simpson's not a starting quarterback. But I don't think Tennessee's gonna, like, Tennessee has been a equal level team.
How many games would Syracuse win in SEC? Are they as bad as Mississippi State and Kentucky?
They're better than Mississippi State. They're
like,
better
I
than
just
Kentucky.
worry about the way they were just able to line up and run the ball at us. I feel like all these SEC teams are big up front and can just do that. That's what worried me out of Saturday from the D line, just getting whipped at points.
Kentucky did not look very good.
But I'm just saying, like, they're gonna have dudes and they're gonna try, and teams are gonna watch what Syracuse did to us and not have to worry about putting it up or whatever. Teams are just gonna line up and run it at us.
They got to get healthy in a hurry on the defensive line. That's the main thing. You got to get healthy. And Nathan Robinson, you got to put him in bubble wrap or something, because he's a good player and he's got to be healthy. Yeah, he's an important player on the interior. When we come back, we'll kick off hour number 2 talking about those PFF grades for Tennessee, and then our biggest overreaction and underreaction for Tennessee's opening win against the Orange Men. Stick with us. It's a chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app.
Follow us on Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it these days at Fox Sports Knox, Fox Sports Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
Attention service members and veterans. Introducing the Griffin Law Firm, your trusted ally in military legal matters. From court martials to benefit claims, at Griffin Law, your mission is their mission. Here's VFL Marshall Griffin.
As a veteran and retired military attorney, I've successfully defended lifelong benefits and helped preserve professional futures. So I know that when you hire a military justice lawyer, you maximize your chance to get relief. With my unique experience, I can advocate for you because there's no military matter that's too big or too small. Let us help you make these critical decisions that could affect the rest of your life. Remain silent. Request counsel. Call Griffin Law.
For a free consultation, call 888-707-4282. That's 888-707-4282. Or just visit griffinlawdefense.com.
Barley's has live music on weekends, general team trivia on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., and now live sports trivia courtesy of the Knoxville Trivia Guys every Thursday night upstairs. The game starts at 7 p.m. and is free to play for everyone, so head on down to the Old City and show off your sports knowledge and win gift cards to Barley's. Use those gift cards to buy some delicious food and drinks, and you can take it all in with their wide selection of TVs and indoor projectors. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
The Voluntary Reaction.
This football season, tune into Big Orange Country's post-game radio free-for-all, The Voluntary Reaction, presented by the Griffin Law Firm. We'll be live on the Fan Run Radio app as soon as every UT game is over, taking your calls and breaking down the game to levels that can only be described as beyond scientific. So tune in and drink with us from the keg of glory or drown in the pool of despair. The Voluntary Reaction on Fan Run Radio.
The Voluntary Reaction. Raw, unfiltered, real.
Let's take a moment to breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Remain focused on what you're doing. If safe to do so, exhale slowly, leaning to one side. Inhale back to center. If safe to do so, exhale slowly to the opposite side. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
We really need to get some branded stuff. Shirts, hats, promo items, something professional.
I mean, we could just find a website and order a bunch of it ourselves.
You could, but you're taking a big risk. You don't know the quality, the fit, the timeline. It's a roll of the dice.
Yeah, I guess, but isn't that how everyone does it now?
Not the ones who actually care about how their brand looks. Look, if we're putting our name on it, it needs to be done right. We need SM Athletics.
SM Athletics?
Yeah, they specialize in working with businesses like ours. Apparel, hats, promo gear, but real, customized stuff. They actually care if it turns out right.
Probably a lot better than getting stuck with 100 t-shirts with crooked logos.
Exactly. Plus, they'll walk you through everything. Sizing, colors, material, so it matches the image we're trying to build.
Makes sense. What's the name again?
SM Athletics. Trust me, if you want to look like a real company, not a flea market stand, this is the move. If you're serious about your brand, work with people who are serious about getting it right. SM Athletics.
Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. As we kick off hour number 2 right here in the White Claw Hard Tilt Studios, coming to you live from beautiful Knoxville, Tennessee. William Pattison of Overtime, 6 to 8 right here on these Fan Run airwaves, Monday through Friday. We got Garrett Armbrust as well, along with Brett Hoolander here in a packed house for you guys, and we appreciate you making the Chase part of your Monday listening. So, William, overreaction, underreaction Monday. Your biggest overreaction personally from the weekend and your biggest underreaction you've seen from Tennessee fans, media alike, where you're just like, I think, I don't know. I have a stronger opinion than where they're at on that particular thing.
Well, I think my biggest overreaction occurred like 30 minutes ago when you said Joey Aguilar is already a top 2 quarterback in Tennessee. That I see where you're coming from, but I think it's way too early to make that statement. It's like you go on a date with a girl one time and you're like, man, I really like her. You know, man, we could get married. And then you go on a couple more dates and you're like, it might not be as good as I once thought it was. And I'm not saying that Joey Aguilar is going to be a bad date the rest of the way. I'm just saying it's a little too early to say he's top 2 already just after one game. And again, Brett does make a good point. What does Syracuse look like in the SEC? I mean, at least on your schedule, I think they're about around par of what Arkansas will look like. And Arkansas is probably your third lowest, toughest game. Like, I think Vanderbilt's better than Arkansas. Maybe they're around Vanderbilt. Maybe they're middle of the pack team. But I just think like one game is a little too early to make that revelation. But I will say something that I'm a little bit higher on than other people is that I thought, the wide receivers did their part, and that was a big question mark for me. So that's why I want to comment on it, because I was really worried about what the wide receiver production was going to look like, and I think you are thin there still. But the wide receivers, for the most part, I thought were not the problem. I thought Joey Aguilar needs to be a little bit more accurate and bring his throws down. But a lot of the drops were guys were saying, the wide receivers are dropping the ball again, yada, yada. I wouldn't really put that on them. I'd say Aguilar's got to be a little bit more efficient in the way he delivers it. And there were a couple of them, even some timing routes where Mike Matthews would come back on a comeback route on the sideline. It was just a little bit too far right or a little bit too inside, just execution stuff. And I wouldn't pin that on the wide receivers. I know so many people last year look at that group and say we had so many drops, we had so many injuries, it's easy to pin it. And obviously Nico Iamaleava played a big part in that as well. But I just thought that the wide receivers were a lot more impressive than I had anticipated. So my overreaction that I'm not feeling, number 2, the kind of the thing that people are underreacting to, I thought the wide receivers were strong.
I think Brazel's the only one who had the drops problem. And I think Matthews, the stuff, you're 100% of the money. Where he might get accredited with some drops, they were all over the place with Mike. Like Aguilar and Mike had the least amount of chemistry of the big 3. But Staley, for sure, looks the part. I'm probably most optimistic about how Staley's going to function in the slot here for Tennessee this year. I think that's going to be fun. But again, we're going to see how Aguilar handles the middle of the field. And if Aguilar can handle the middle of the field, then Staley is poised for a breakout year for Tennessee. If not, I don't know. I don't know what Staley's production is going to look like if they don't trust Aguilar over the middle from Georgia on. So we still got to learn that. But I mean, I understand the overreaction part of it when it comes to Aguilar being the second best quarterback in the Heupel era thus far, Garrett. But when I watched this game and the tempo just being immediately back, he was very composed. Like he was just ready. It did not feel like he got to Tennessee 2.5 months prior. I could not be more impressed with how he handled the moment and was not shaken up at all. Like the fumble, you're like, okay, how is he going to handle this? How is he going to handle some of these errant throws where he's missing Mike Matthews high? He has a touchdown drop by Chris Brazel. Like there's different things that you're just kind of curious how he was going to handle some adversity. He didn't face a whole lot of adversity in this game, but partly was because the offensive line did their job and the running game did their job and the wide receivers were pretty solid by and large. But I don't know. I just am pretty optimistic that Aguilar, even if you don't think he's necessarily going to be better, or it's too early to say he's going to be better than Milton Nico, I do think he's a better fit his first game out than what we saw from Milton and Nico in this offense. He does feel like a better fit to me.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I mean, he has the firepower where he can take those shots. And
yeah.
I think part of the thing is he's going to throw more interceptions, obviously, than we've seen the past couple of years. But at the same time, I feel like you're not going to be able to beat a team like Georgia unless you take those shots. If there's, if a play gets intercepted, it sucks. But at the same time, I don't think you can beat Georgia running 12 personnel, having 2 tight ends out there and just running the ball the whole time. I think they beat you at the line of scrimmage. I think you have to challenge their secondary. They have a very good secondary, but I think that the only way that you can beat an Alabama on the road or a Georgia in Neyland is if you take those opportunities, you take those shots, and you see what happens. You're probably going to lose to Georgia anyways. I know that's not the way that they're looking at it in the building, but from the outside perspective, you're probably going to lose to Georgia unless you take shots, so you might as well take shots and see what happens. For my underrated play, I would say Star Thomas. He averaged 7 yards on the ground this week, had a receiving touchdown, 92 yards on the ground, 12 carries. I thought he was really impressive for what you would consider an RB3 in the system. I don't think a lot of people understand how good he was at Duke last year. I thought he looked really good on Saturday, and I think he's going to have a really good season, and I think you're going to look up like week 6, week 7, and he might have the second best rushing yards on the team behind Bishop. And I think that he's going to emerge as an RB2 over Peyton Lewis, and I think that he's going to be a really good running back for us this season.
Yeah, Star Thomas is just such a great, sneaky, important addition because we'll see on Bishop's health for the full year. Got to see if he can make it through full season.
Do you think they'll stick with 3 though?
Yeah,
as the season goes on.
I mean,
there's a lot of times we've had 3 quality running backs through this Heupel era, but we end up, it's really just 2. Like Sampson didn't really see a whole lot, things like that.
Yeah, I still have a hard time believing they're going to shrink it from 4 to 1 or even 2.
I mean, it was basically 3. I mean, Juwan Moore's got 2 carries or something.
I mean, he had that whole possession where I just could not believe they did that. Like, that's one you wait for ETSU. That was just bizarre, especially with where you were in the third quarter. I don't know. I thought that was really bizarre to throw Juwan Morris in that spot. But I do think Star Thomas, I mean, what I like about him being the third back, though, is because Peyton Lewis runs so hard and so fast, and Bishop is obviously like built like another.
You worry about the way they run with their injury history too.
But they run powerful.
Yeah, they do.
So, and then you throw Star Thomas in, the other 22, 23-year-old who's just a back who knows what he's doing.
Experienced guy.
Yeah, and I mean that was a great catch from him and Aguilar. That was a great off-platform. That's the kind of stuff. The reason that I'm more optimistic is that's not a throw Joe or Nico makes in the last 2 years. Is Joey was comfortable outside of structure and lofted it to Star and made a play. Like that is something that's a little bit different. That to your point, to beat Georgia, those are the kind of things that have to happen. Like you have to be able to do off-platform stuff, be able to move around in the pocket, be able to take those deep shots. Part of what was really frustrating about Georgia in 22 is that Tennessee had some open shots. They just dropped them. They never did. Like Tillman had a couple bad drops in that game. Hyatt had a drop. Those shot plays where if they hit them, like, I don't know. I'm not saying Tennessee would have won that game, but that is what was the difference in that era of Tennessee football was like, man, Tennessee could run away with the game in a hurry if they connected on 2 to 3 of those. And then if they went 0 for 8 on those, like they did against Georgia, it can be really ugly offensively. The difference this year is Aguilar just feels like the guy who's most comfortable outside of structure of any of Heupel's quarterbacks thus far. And he's composed and he can handle things when things break down where it's like, oh, I'm in the red zone. I'm going to pay. Like Tennessee has had red zone scoring touchdown problems the last 2 years. That was something that did not feel like they have new wrinkles. They are throwing to the tailbacks now. You had Miles Kitselman. You have options now that makes the defense work a little bit harder on containing Tennessee's offense when the field gets smaller. So I don't know. I just didn't think I understand we still have to see more from Aguilar and company, but I do think the outside of structure stuff is an underrated part of what I saw on Saturday. My biggest overreaction, Brett, I don't know if you agree, but I think
mine's a quarterback, so you can go ahead though.
I think the biggest overreaction is that
it's Aguilar.
I think
I guess not a punt returner.
I haven't really seen. I think it's probably that the defense is going to just bounce right back. That this is not going to be a problem for Tennessee, and I don't agree with that. I think Tennessee's going to have some issues defensively this year. I think this is going to be a step back from what we've seen in the last 2 years. So my biggest underreaction is probably, hey, I think Tennessee's defense is going to have some problems. I don't think it's going to be like 21-22, that kind of bad, but I do think it's not going to sniff what we saw the last 2 years. And part of that is just attrition for NFL talent. The other part is just that like you have a lot of injuries.
Are you just saying that when we play against the good teams? Like when we go again, are we going to be able to dominate the bad teams?
I mean, I think Arkansas is going to be able to have success against this defensive line.
Going to be on par with last year, then I mean, these games are going to be competitive because I don't see us just going up and down the field offensively.
Well, if you're Arkansas or you're Oklahoma, you feel a lot better about walking into Neyland and pushing around Tennessee's defensive line. Like that is going to be a little bit different now, is that Tennessee is going to have to get more aggressive. Tennessee's going to have to take more chances. You're going to have to send Arian Carter and Edwin Spillman and company up the middle more often. You're going to have to send Boo Carter off the edge more. You're going to have to be more aggressive because Don Bailey, Bryson Eason, Jackson Moy, and Josh Josephs they're not getting home with 4. Like Josephs, I think, was really good in that game on Saturday, but he's not a 10-sack guy. Like that's not happening. Tennessee had 5 sacks in this game, which
he's
is great.
On pace.
Well, Josephs was great, but you need a whole lot more from Caleb Herring, but I still my gut is Jordan Ross is going to surpass him, and Jordan Ross is probably the next star Tennessee Leo, but you just need more, and you need Nathan Robinson to stay healthy in a hurry. But I just think if you're one of these teams that love running the football and have running quarterbacks, you watch this Tennessee defensive front and this front seven, and you're like, we can have some success against this group.
Yeah, I mean, again, just kind of going to that third quarter, I thought Tennessee just started kind of sleepwalking. And I thought it was both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Really just the theme in the second half period from the Tennessee defense was just not great against the run. And even late into the fourth quarter when Syracuse was trying to kind of put together a little bit of a garbage time drive, they marched down the field in 4 or 5 plays. And Jeremiah Thielander comes into the game. I felt like that was a little bit of a captain moment from him, a guy that is well respected on that defensive side of the ball. He comes back in and says, whoa, we're not allowing a big time play here. We're not allowing another score. But it's concerning that it takes a guy like that to have to walk into the game to prevent Syracuse from running up the score. And I don't know. I was not very impressed the second half, at least with the defense. I thought the first first half, the defense did their job, made a couple of big-time plays. The Colton Hood one was really awesome. But
well, even offensively, right? Like, I didn't feel like they were great offensively either.
I just, the third quarter,
it was terrible.
Really, ever since when Joey Aguilar got hurt, is when things started to get a little sleepwalky.
Yeah.
And maybe it was because they were just trying to get out of there and understood that Aguilar was a little bit banged up.
Oklahoma style a little
bit.
bit.
But it just kind of seemed like you were just going to try and sit on that lead. And there was a little bit of aggression in that fourth quarter. After Syracuse scored, Tennessee marched back down the field and evened things up. But I think the defense is going to have to improve big time, in a matter of 2 weeks. Are they able to do that? We'll have to see. But Georgia's not going to be something that you can have what went down on Saturday happen.
Do you know what I'm really curious to see what play out over the next couple of weeks? Tempo being back had to hurt this defense because Tennessee did not have these long sustained drives. Their scoring drives were less than 2 minutes at a time. Like you saw, if you go through the time possession battle and how Tennessee's offense was moving, that is something that was a reason as to why it was hard and why it was hard to get a DC when Heupel took this job like, it's hard to be a DC in this scheme when the tempo is back. We haven't seen the tempo. That has been something that has helped Tennessee's defense the last 2 years. If Aguilar has the tempo running again and Tennessee has these 83-yard touchdown receptions to Braylon Staley on 2 plays, and the defense has to go right back out there when a couple guys got dinged up in the previous possession, it's like, all right, well, here we go again. And these sustained drives, like, I think that's part of why I'm selling some defensive stock this year. It's not even Tim Banks' fault. I just think they're going to be on the field a whole lot more than they have been the last 2 years because I think Tennessee's going to go fast a lot more than what we've seen the last 2 years. So that just kind of comes with it. And the attrition factor is going to be something Tennessee's defense has to fight all year long. They have a lot. They've recruited well. They rotate well. That'll be important. But I just think Tennessee's not going to be able to get around playing a lot of young guys in their front seven because of how much they're going to have to rotate to keep these guys fresh because they're going to be on the field way more than they've been the last 2 years.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, we're going to have to look at, I'm interested to see against ETSU, are there any tweaks made to the rotations? Do you see any more guys on the defensive line? Do you see a guy like Isaiah Campbell maybe get some more run? Stuff like that. And, look, week 1, it's overreaction week. You take the tape and have the opportunity to really go down and film and see what needs to improve. But I think there are a lot of things that do need to improve. But the positive is that you were able to still get a double-digit win in a season opener against a Power 4 team. So was it the same type of defense we saw last year? No, but we probably shouldn't have expected that. With a lot of the guys leaving. But again, it's early in the season. You've got a lot of tweaks and stuff to be made. So interested to see what they do this week and leading up to ETSU.
Before we go to break, maybe this is a sneaky portal one. This is some maybe overthinking. But the portal, like Tennessee has been really good in the portal last 2 cycles. One area where it might be a sneaky miss that was important for them, the Josh Shell pickup, where you really need an interior guy and a veteran interior guy to help bridge the gap so that you're not relying on true freshman Ethan Utley and Isaiah Campbell in these spots. I think you would have rather had. I don't know what was available in that spring portal window, but it looks like he is not a factor. I mean, he's way down the depth chart in the interior defensively for Tennessee, moving up from the FCS level. I wonder if they could do a do-over. They're like, hey, if we knew we were going to be this banged up in the interior, we should have just taken, even if we didn't really necessarily love the guy at the Power 4 level who was in the portal, or we didn't, whatever, we just take a more ready-made interior C-, C+, B- guy that we just know can be a plug-and-play one-year guy just in case injuries happen in the interior. Because if Josh Hill's not helping you this year, I mean, I think that's kind of a problem because you did take him, and I think probably the hope was he'd be able to help you this fall. And I don't think right now it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case.
Well, I'd push back a little bit on saying Tennessee did well in the portal. I thought Tennessee was a big disappointment in the portal, especially wide receiver, especially some of those interior positions. I mean, you might have not meant that exactly, but
I would say the wide receiver, I would agree. But I mean, Pendleton looks like a great hit. Wendell Moy is a great hit.
Pendleton, Moy, and Colton Hood,
yeah.
I think are all good. But I mean, I think wide receiver, and look, they were good on Saturday, but I think wide receiver was a big gaping hole that you needed to fill. And I would have probably added a couple of interior defensive guys with some experience.
Yes.
But I think you were so focused on trying to I felt like Tennessee whiffed on a lot of guys. Went after a lot of guys, a Zachariah Branch, Devontae Ross from Troy. Like, you whiffed on guys, and you probably spending a lot of time focusing on them that you let guys slip through the cracks.
That's fair. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation on Tennessee football, the PFF grades for Tennessee and their unit this week. We'll also talk about where we're most concerned going at 2 weeks out from Georgia inside Neyland Stadium. Stick with us. It's The Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Citizens National Bank.
Are you getting penalized because you can't make it to your bank on time? No need for unnecessary roughness. It's time for a new game plan. Easily manage your accounts with Citizens National Bank's mobile banking app. Check your balance, deposit a check, and pay a bill all from your phone with CNB's mobile banking.
Citizens National Bank. Banking never felt so good.
Member FDIC.
Hey Knoxville, Surfside iced tea and vodka made with real brewed tea is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar with no bubbles and no troubles. That's right, zero carbonation, so it's easy to sip and enjoy. Headed to a game day or party at a friend's house? Bring an iced tea or lemonade variety pack from Surfside or try their green tea and new raspberry tea vodka. Find the can with the sunset stripes this season. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sold at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sunshine in a can. Must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly.
Are you tired of hiding your smile because of crooked teeth? At Knoxville Smiles, we've got the perfect solution. Invisalign. No metal, no wires. Just clear, comfortable aligners that straighten your teeth without anyone noticing. Eat what you want, smile with confidence, and see results in as little as 6 months. Call us today for more information about Invisalign, 865-539-1776. Or just visit us online at knoxvillesmiles.com. Smile brighter with Knoxville Smiles.
Believe in family. Believe in your fellow man. Believe in honesty and an honest day's work. We do. We're Farm Bureau Insurance. And we don't just believe in Tennessee. We believe in Tennesseans. Farm Bureau Insurance. Tennessee's insurance company.
This is Baseball VFL Cody Brown. Farm Bureau Insurance is the official insurance for Tennesseans. Believe in me for all of your insurance needs. Give me a call at 865-992-3871.
We really need to get some branded stuff. Shirts, hats, promo items, something professional.
I mean, we could just find a website and order a bunch of it ourselves.
You could, but you're taking a big risk. You don't know the quality, the fit, the timeline. It's a roll of the dice.
Yeah, I guess. But isn't that how everyone does it now?
Not the ones who actually care about how their brand looks. Look, if we're putting our name on it, it needs to be done right. We need SM Athletics.
SM Athletics?
Yeah, they specialize in working with businesses like ours. Apparel, hats, promo gear, but real, customized stuff. They actually care if it turns out right.
Probably a lot better than getting stuck with 100 t-shirts with crooked logos.
Exactly. Plus, they'll walk you through everything. Sizing, colors, material, so it matches the image we're trying to build.
Makes sense. What's the name again?
SM Athletics. Trust me, if you want to look like a real company, not a flea market stand, this is the move. If you're serious about your brand, work with people who are serious about getting it right. SM Athletics.
It's The Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. William Pattison from Overtime 6 to 8 right here on Fan Run Radio in studio with us on this fine Monday afternoon here in East Tennessee. We got Garrett Armbrust and Brett Holander here with us producing as well. PFF grades for Tennessee. Defensive line and pass rush graded the worst of all the different units for Tennessee on PFF.com for this weekend. And when you watch the game, that kind of checked out, William, was the defensive line was probably the weak spot for Tennessee. You could throw linebackers in there too. I think a lot of fans were upset with but I still thought Spillman and Arion flash. I think Jaden Harmon flashed for me in this game as well for Tennessee. I think Harmon's going to be a dude. Harmon, I will be surprised if he's not one of your long-term answers at the linebacker spot. You only start 2, so there's not a whole lot of room for opportunity, but I did feel pretty good about what I saw from Harmon. He flashed. Spillman, obviously a dude. And Arion, I think, is kind of more up and down than people expect. Like, Arion's not just like he's not a perfect player. I mean, still, he's in year 3, but he's a great leader, great player. But he's going to have some up and down moments. But Arion on the blitz, that's going to be a big next part of his game this season, because they're going to need him to be an aggressive Jeremy Banks-like style blitzer up the middle. Like, that's just something that this defense is going to need from Arion this year. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if anyone thought coming into this game that coming out of it, we were all like, the PFF grades actually had Tennessee's defensive line as the weakest of all their units this Saturday.
Well, I think when you go back and watch the game and just the moments that you remember, I thought the secondary was pretty strong throughout. I thought the linebackers had a couple of really good blitz packages and made a couple of big plays in the backfield. We knew that Steve Angeli was a bit of a statue, and that comes from Notre Dame people that had watched him play for a while. And I thought that was pretty relevant when the linebackers like an Arian Carter would come in and blow it up. You had a couple of nice blitz packages too with some defensive backs. But the defensive line continued to allow for Syracuse to kind of have their way in the run game. And I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, if you just go back and remember the key moments and you just, right now, without having the game in front of you, the run game was usually the biggest culprit for Tennessee's, lack of success. And I'm not surprised at all to hear the defensive line group was bad. They're going to have to be improved. I get there were injuries. We knew going in without David Hobbs, there was going to be a cause for concern there. And then Bryson Eason goes down. Robinson goes down. You had a lot of guys get banged up. But for a group that is usually the strongest unit for Tennessee overall on both sides of the football, it was a concerning performance for the defensive line.
Yeah, Dominic Bailey graded out 61.6% pass rush grade. That was pretty low. Jamal Wallace and his pass rush snaps, 58.5. He had 7 snaps where he was rushing the passer. Nathan Robinson, not surprisingly, was one of the highest, 78.3 in his 14 opportunities. Nathan Robinson's a player, man. Like, I hope he stays healthy. He's a great story who's put in the work year 3. He's a good player. He just cannot stay healthy. But it's like, if he's healthy, Nathan Robinson is going to help Tennessee in a major way this year.
Yeah.
I also Tyree Weathersby looked the part. I think he's your best strong side defensive end, but I don't know if he's going to be able to. He's going to rotate. He's going to play. So it ultimately, I guess, doesn't really matter. But Tyree Weathersby was really good in this game, especially against the run. I think Tyree looks the part of Tennessee's next strong side defensive end. Really good player there. Joshua Josephs, no surprise, graded out well all over the place. He was on the field for 49 snaps total. The top 3, though, was the secondary. Ty Redmond, Colton Hood, and Jalen McMurray were your 3 top PFF graded defensive players in this football game. And you watched it and you're like, that doesn't really surprise me. And you look at some other spots. Ricky Gibson did not have a great game in his 19 snaps. He was kind of getting picked on a little bit. It was like you said, Brett, Andre Turrentine did not grade particularly well in this game. It's kind of odd that Tyree West only had 14 snaps. I think we thought that Tyree West would be a bigger factor this year, but I don't know. I think that's still something interesting. And Idris Farouk, not surprisingly, was good in coverage and looks like he's going to be a really good player. He played 48 snaps, thrown into the fire as a starting safety next to Turrentine. I feel really good about him. And then Jordan Ross was, I think, really good in his 29 snaps, and someone who I think it's going to be interesting to see how they balance out the rotation there, because he gets 29 snaps. Caleb Herring got 25, and then Caleb Herring was in on 13 pass rush snaps, 59.5 grade in those opportunities. And Jordan Ross was in 18 pass rush snaps in the Rabbits package. So I do think it's pretty interesting to see how Tennessee continues to evolve and rotate at that spot, but it's just going to be different. I think fans are going to have to get used to, like, hey, things change year to year in the sport, rosters change, people come and go, but I think based on where they're at this year, and I said all summer that it was a gap year for Tennessee defensive line wise. I don't think they have, when you lose a first and second round guy like Omar and Pierce, and you're plugging them in, like, you have good players you're plugging them in with, but not elite players. And there's not an elite starter on this Tennessee defensive line right now. And I think they're going to be there in 26 and 27. Like, we're all very high on Isaiah Campbell, high on Jordan Ross, high on Tyree Weathersby, high on Marion Dye, high on Ethan Utley. Like, David Hobbs, they need back in a hurry. That's someone we haven't mentioned here 2 hours into the show. they need David Hobbs in a hurry. Like, David Hobbs was my pick to be the Omar Norman Lott of this unit this season. You need him back in a hurry, because I think that actually clears up a lot of stuff for Tennessee defensively. Like, then you can kind of be more careful with Nathan Robinson. Then you can kind of get 10-ish snaps from Ethan Utley and Isaiah Campbell. And, then you're feeling a little bit okay. You can slide Dominic Bailey inside at times if you need to do that, because he cannot be in on pass rush situations on the outside for Tennessee. But I do think this is still positive when you're looking at Tennessee, where you're banged up at corner with Dramad and now Ricky Gibson, and your top 3 graded players in this game was Ty Redmond, Colton Hood, and Jalen McMurray. William Martinez deserves a lot of credit, man. I know he was a punching bag early on for Tennessee fans. Dude's doing a really good job. Ty Redmond looks like another great find for him out of Milton. I just think that's huge for Tennessee that Colton Hood is a plug-and-play great player. Jalen McMurray looks like one of the leaders of that group. He can play star. He can play corner. And then you didn't even get anything from Boot Carter. He's healthy. So Boot Carter should only make things even better for this Tennessee secondary going into ETSU week and everything else. But yeah, I don't know. I just think part of just attrition, where you are with injuries and where you're at in terms of roster management, this Tennessee defensive line is just going to be one of the weakest we've seen in the Rodney Garner era.
One of the interesting things from Saturday was Weathersby over Tyree West.
Yes.
And Tyree West was a guy that I was looking to see if he was able to take a jump this season, and seeing Weathersby in front of him makes me question, what West is at this point in his career as a senior on this team. But also maybe it's just Weathersby has really come on that strong, and Weathersby has established himself as a guy that can be constantly in the rotation. But I don't know. I'd like to see a little Tyree West, a little bit more of what we saw on Saturday, and maybe you do see that as we move forward and make adjustments week to week. But I was surprised not to see a senior, a veteran out there as much as he was. But again, Weathersby I thought was strong. But again, I was interested to see Tyree West, and didn't see a whole lot of him on Saturday.
Brett, where are you most concerned 2 weeks out from Georgia with what you saw on Saturday?
I mean, it's what you guys said. I mean, it's got to be the front seven, because if you don't, I just don't think you're going to be able. It sounds like you're going to have to outscore Georgia at this point. Like, I just don't see us having to being able to stop Georgia's offense. It feels like they're just going to be able to line the ball up and run it right at it, especially if Moy's still out or Hobbs is still out, things like that. You're just going to get whipped, and Gunnar Stockton can run the ball and things like that. And their skill positions are way better than what Syracuse had too. I mean, those grades aren't going to be what we saw Saturday. So I'm extremely worried about the defense. I really am.
That's interesting, Garrett, because I have it flipped, where I think Georgia's defense is back to being scary good again.
Which isn't good for us, because unless you think Swagular is the second best quarterback Tennessee's had under Heupel.
I still maintain that's my early overreaction.
But Milton's first game was like Vanderbilt or Clemson. I mean, what were you thinking?
Well,
at that
hold
point?
on. His first game was against Pitt. Was against who? Bowling Green? Was that the Thursday night that
First
he made
full game?
Yeah. And then Pitt obviously was not going well. Very different. And then obviously his first game in 23 was against Virginia, and I would say that was rocky.
But you think our defense is going to get better than what it showed Saturday?
Oof. There's just so much up in the air health wise. It's hard to forecast where they're going to be, because so many important pieces are out. Like, how many snaps is Boot Carter playing against
That's
Georgia?
secondary, right?
Secondary, yeah. But I mean, they're all connected. Like, how much does Edwin Spillman now play now that you have a week of tape? It's like, hey, do we still play T-Lander more than Spillman, or is it time to start making that transition to T-Lander's our number 3 and Spillman's our number 2, because we just got to play our best players, because Spillman's a better player than T-Lander. And there were times where T-Lander was just he was slow. And you could just kind of see it that Spillman's a little bit different. And I don't know. I think you got to have Arian Carter and Edwin Spillman on the field as much as together as human possible, especially against Georgia. Like, T-Lander is good in the box. T-Lander is good in the red zone. T-Lander just has his limitations. He does not have the upside that Spillman and Arian Carter do. He should play. He should be part of the rotation, but I don't think with where you're at defensively, I think you might have to have some tough conversations there in terms of where snap counts go. But I mean, I don't think it's out of the question that we don't see Hobbs and or Moy against Georgia. My thing is, Georgia did not overly impress me offensively. It was not one of those where Gunnar Stockton scares me the same way. Carson Beck dissected Tennessee from the pocket last year, where he had 40 dropbacks, wasn't put on the ground once, and he just slowly eviscerated Tennessee with Oscar Delp and Lucky Lawson. I don't think that's going to happen with Gunnar Stockton. You saw that game on Saturday. Dwight Phillips.
Not have to.
I mean, well, what I'm saying is like Gunner is a runner. Like Gunner is going to put his head down. Gunner is going to look for contact. He's more mobile than what we've seen from Carson Beck the last 2 years, where they really just sliced and diced.
Carson Beck ran out last year a little bit.
Well, a little bit, but it's just different.
It was
Yeah, go ahead,
different,
William.
yeah.
I'd also push back the reason why Georgia had to rely on guys like Delp and Lucky was because their wide receivers were so damn bad. They were the number one team in the country in drop passes.
They were depleted at running back.
Saturday, they did not look like that. Zachariah Branch caught one 5 yards or 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage and housed it. I mean, that's a guy that has incredible speed.
We wanted
him. Noah Thomas at 6'4" is a huge target for the transfer from Texas A&M. This is a much improved Georgia offense. And even last year, the fact that they could rely on 2 tight ends to win them the game with all their wide receiver depletion tells me, we could be in for another tough one. And again, I think it's a great opportunity, the best opportunity for Heupel to beat Georgia. But this is a different new look Georgia team. And I thought they were impressive on Saturday. I get it's Marshall, and Marshall lost 36 players from last year's team, has a new coach, a carousel at quarterback, but Georgia looked the part when their starters were in the game. And last year, Georgia would set up one-on-one man coverage with those linebackers for Tennessee on an Oscar Delp or a Lucky, and Tennessee lost all those matchups. Like, if they do that again this year, are you willing to bank that T-Lander has the speed to guard an Oscar Delp? Are you banking on Arion? Because Arion Carter was good at some points in one-on-one coverage, but there were other times last year where he allowed some big plays. Go back to that Arkansas game. Arkansas is backed up 3rd and 17, 2nd and 17, something like that, right on their own goal line. Arion Carter's guy on a wheel route just rolls right by him. Stuff like that. I don't know if I like the linebackers being susceptible to man coverage. I feel like Georgia's going to attack that once again this year.
Yeah,
we're going to have to blitz against Georgia. We saw us not get pressure with 4, and I think that's just spells trouble. You can't leave, these Ty Redmond or whoever on Zachariah Branch. He's going to line them up, things like that. Colton Hood hasn't exactly seen these type players either. He didn't exactly play for Colorado, so I don't know. I mean, it's going to be tough. It's really going to be tough.
But if you blitz, you're then putting
a lot. Gunner can run.
Well, that's one part of it. If you blitz, you're putting a lot of pressure on Gunner to get out quick, but they've got the guys that can be quick. Zachariah Branch, one of the fastest in the country. If you don't blitz, then you've got to make sure you almost run a quarterback spy every time, because if you're not going to be able to get that push up front, and keep in mind, Tennessee did not get a push last year against Georgia, and that was a much better defensive line, and that was against an offensive line that had changed up their group for like the third straight week in a row. You're going to have to run like a quarterback spy every time against like a Gunner Stockton. So I don't know. Georgia has a lot of chess moves that they can make. And as good as Tennessee's offense was on Saturday and improved, I think the defense is possibly going to be in for a tough outing against Georgia.
I will say the positives. Georgia's offensive line still banged up. Juan Gaston left the game early for them, starting true freshman right guard. I think right tackle Ernest Green got banged up too. It's a big year for him. I think Tennessee could find success rushing the passer against Georgia's offensive line this year, especially at home at Neyland. See, like, they're still kind of shaky. Monroe Feeling looked okay at left tackle for Georgia, but I think they're shakier than I think a lot of people are anticipating. And I mean, they still don't really know who their running back rotation is. Like, Roderick Robinson didn't get a carry for Georgia. It seems like he was the number 2 going into this fall. I mean, we'll see if that Dwight Phillips stuff continues on, and Chauncey Bowens and like true freshman Bo Walker. Like, they don't have the same kind of scary stuff that they used to. It's actually a receiver, to your point, where I think that's where they're scary, but it's also, to this point, the strength of Tennessee's defense right now is their secondary. So I don't know. I don't hate the matchup between Tennessee's defense and Georgia's offense right now. What scares me is Georgia's defense looks a whole lot closer to what it was 2 years ago versus what it was last year. And that's something that can put Tennessee and Heupel historically in a blend, in a vice grip. And that kind of scares me more than anything, is that Georgia's defense looks back to top 5 in the country.
Yeah.
When we come back, we'll put a bow on this Monday edition of The Chase. We'll talk about most important balls to rest this week to get ready for Georgia, who actually needs the most snaps against ETSU. And we'll also check in with G6 Garrett, biggest surprise over the weekend in the G6, which player balled out the most, and all that good stuff with our resident G6 superfan, Garrett Armbrust. Stick with us to Chase right here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app.
Congratulations. You found sports radio that doesn't suck. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Hello, is Tina there?
Who's this?
Yeah, this is Vince from the hit reality show Wives Don't Tell. Tina applied for our show to confess that her husband won't go to the doctor to get his erectile dysfunction checked. She said she's ready for a guy that can bring the heat.
All right, what the is going on? You know you're talking to her husband right now? Tina!
Well, she wrote the application that her man's performance is questionable. She's basically married to a coffee table. She also said, we live within driving distance to Men's Pro Knoxville, but he's too scared to get a blood test.
Oh my, she is done. She is so done.
Gotcha, Mike. It's Nephew Tommy. Ain't no reality show. It's a prank. Men's Pro Knoxville is the real deal, fellas. Local experts, test results in minutes. Call 865-544-8220 or hit men'spro-knoxville.com before your lady books a new co-star. Men's Pro Knoxville, making it happen.
Hey, football fans, this is Stats.
And this is the Sheik, and together we are the Cover Boys, and we cover college football like no one else.
Each week, we preview all the big games in college football, and we may not tell you who's going to win, but we'll tell you who's going to cover.
Our patented right sides are clicking at 66% against the spread all time.
So join us right here every Friday evening at 8 for the Cover Boys on the official voice of Tennessee fans, Fan Run Radio.
And enjoy the winners, everyone.
Barley's has live music on weekends, general team trivia on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., and now live sports trivia courtesy of the Knoxville Trivia Guys every Thursday night upstairs. The game starts at 7 p.m. and is free to play for everyone, so head on down to the Old City and show off your sports knowledge and win gift cards to Barley's. Use those gift cards to buy some delicious food and drinks, and you can take it all in with their wide selection of TVs and indoor projectors. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
It's football time at Tennessee, so crack open a cold beer that doesn't fumble the flavor. Garage Beer is 100% beer-flavored beer. No gimmicks, just cold beer. Built for bonfires, backyards, and beating Bama. Garage Beer is proud to be brewed right here in the Volunteer State. So pick up a 12-pack today and look for the drive celebrating Football Fridays at select Garage Beer headquarters around town this fall. American-owned, Tennessee-brewed Garage Beer. 100% beer-flavored beer.
Blackford Veterinary Surgery Referral specializes in surgeries not regularly performed by your pet's general veterinarian. They're currently accepting referrals from vets all across the country. With their newly renovated state-of-the-art surgery center and highly trained staff, clients can rely on professional and thorough care. If your vet says that your pet needs surgery or rehab, ask for a referral to Blackford Vet and let them get your best friend back on its feet. Located conveniently in West Knoxville. For more information, visit blackfordvetsurgery.com.
Here on Fan Run Radio, Fox Sports Knoxville, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, and always streaming for free on that Fan Run Radio app. Wrapping up hour number 2, The Drive with Russell Smith and the Bear coming up at 3. And then we got Overtime with William Pattison from 6 to 8 right here in studio with us on these Monday reaction shows this season. William, before we dive into who we need Tennessee to rest and get right for Georgia in 2 weeks and who we actually still need to see play a whole lot, we got to check in with resident G6 superfan, G6 Garrett, who was locked in to Arizona pummeling Hawaii, I imagine, over the weekend, and App State looking pretty good. Wake Forest in a close call from old friend Jerry Mack, almost pulling the upset over there in Demon Deacon country. Robert B. Ashford not off to a great start as QB1 for the Deeks, but Garrett, what do you have for us on the G6 front, and who is the biggest G6 riser over the weekend?
Well, I think USF obviously was the team that everyone saw on Thursday night against Boise State. Went in there, completely dismantled a Boise team that many people had as their G5 playoff team this year. Obviously, Tulane went into Northwestern traveled to Tulane and beat them 23-3. And that was a pretty big blowout. I think pretty much everyone expected Tulane to win that game, but in the way that it happened, forcing Preston Stone to throw 4 interceptions was not what anyone really expected. I think after losing the job last year to Kevin Jennings in the second week of the season and that BYU game, I think Preston Stone's confidence has just been completely shot since then. And I just don't think Northwestern has much of a chance to get anything going this year. I thought with the addition of him and Griffin Wild at wide receiver, they might have a little bit of explosiveness on offense, but it clearly looks like that is not the case. But some other players around the G5, Evan Simon had 6 passing touchdowns for Temple in his debut this season. Quentin Jackson, 119 rushing yards for Rice. They upset Louisiana, who was picked by many people to win the Sun Belt this year. Rice was projected to be like 3-9 this season, so that was probably the biggest G5 upset of the weekend.
Well, hold on. There's one more you're missing out here. A bigger G5 upset. Tarleton State.
Well, that's an FCS team.
I mean, G5 got upset, though.
Yeah.
The defending AAC champions got upset by Tarleton State over the weekend.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Army's going to be as good this year. They're going to take a step back. Obviously, at QB play, they lose their QB in Bryson Daly from last year. They bring in Dwayne Coleman. They just didn't look like the same team as they did last year. Gave up 30 points to Tarleton State. But, I mean, that was a gutsy call that Tarleton State had. I don't know if you saw it in overtime. They went for a 4th and 2 that ended up getting them a first down and kept the game going. That was pretty gutsy. And then Drew Mestemaker, my last guy, 329 passing yards, 3 touchdowns for North Texas. This guy was not supposed to be the starting quarterback. Everyone thought it was going to be Reese Poffenbarger, who was the quarterback at UAlbany a couple years ago, transferred to Miami, was supposed to be the quarterback there, lost the job to Cam Ward. Comes to North Texas, and then Drew Mestemaker balls out in the bowl game last year, wins the starting job. He had not started a game at quarterback since his freshman year of high school until the bowl game last season. So I thought that was a pretty cool story. North Texas with that Eric Morris offense is obviously always explosive. They lost a couple of receivers like DT Sheffield to Rutgers, but I still think they're going to be a pretty good team this year. So excited to see what he does over in Denton.
Great stuff. And then I guess we should also check in every week. Your leader in the clubhouse for the G5 playoff spot. Is it Tulane or somebody else?
I would say Tulane right now. The thing about USF I'm concerned about is they play Miami and Florida in the next 2 weeks. And to me, you're just going to get injuries in those 2 games. And then they have a stretch where they play, I think, Memphis, UTSA. Like if you're not healthy for those games, you're going to lose to Memphis or you're going to lose to UTSA. And when you play against Florida and you play against Miami, like you're just bound to get banged up on the offensive and defensive line. So for me, they just have to get out of those games healthy. Obviously, they're probably going to lose both, but you just can't have any key pieces get injured in those games that set yourself up. Because if you lose those 2 games, but then win the rest of the games in the AAC, you're still in the playoff beating Boise.
Yeah. Over under, Cal's quarterback, true freshman 5-star, Jaron Kiawe Sagapula Telele, is the starting quarterback for Alabama next season.
For Alabama? Why Alabama?
They got Ty Simpson, man.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, time out. We haven't talked about this yet. I actually, I'm so glad we brought up Alabama. Can I get a hand up about Ty Simpson?
What's up?
Can I get a hand up about Ty Simpson that he is not anywhere near what Mac Jones was, and he's not a good quarterback?
Too early to say on that front, but I will say he was pressured on 19 dropbacks in this game.
You have to run for that first down when he had all the space in the world. I mean, that was one of the worst decisions I've seen a quarterback make in a while. He had 15 yards to run.
Yeah. Bingo, and he threw it in the dirt. And first, how can we say Joey Aguilar's top 2 in Tennessee under Heupel, but Ty Simpson we've still got the book out on?
Much different game. On the road at Doak. Florida State might just be better than we anticipated, where Florida State might be an 8 or 9 win team in the ACC this year.
Did Jack Foster text you? Because I remember Friday's show. You guys bet a lot. You said it was going to be like 48-7 that Alabama was going to win.
Yeah, that one backfired. That was a huge miss by me.
Keelan Russell will be the quarterback when we play Alabama.
Yeah. He should be he's the best quarterback in that room, and instead they tried out Ty Simpson, who went 23 of 43 and was a disaster.
It was raining.
QBR of 46.9. Are you kidding me?
It wasn't great.
I don't know what happened after that first drive.
Ryan Williams was not great in that game. Jeremy Bernard was pretty good, but by and large, Isaiah Horton had a really bad debut for Alabama on the outside.
Got smashed in the mouth, though. It was a bigger thing.
The rushing game was non-existent after the first drive. They had 30 rushing yards after their first drive. 30.
You know what's bad in the transfer portal era? for college football fans. It's like for Alabama, you had a double whammy where you couldn't run the ball, and then you watch Justice Haynes over there at Michigan just run all over. Who did they play on Saturday?
New Mexico.
New Mexico, yeah.
Hell, Roydell Williams is the one that put the game away. He's a
Yeah.
former Alabama running back as well. And he went right through Deontay Lawson.
And then Dylan Lonergan lighting it up for BC, QB1 who transferred out of Alabama.
Yeah, wasn't Julian Sain committed to Bama before he's at Ohio State
He was.
now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not saying he's going to be – he didn't look good either, but that was
He looked
Texas.
okay.
Keelan Russell is good. Keelan Russell is the best quarterback in that. I think Mac's better than
Especially
Ty
when
Simpson.
it's supposed to be DeBoer's guy. Like, Simpson's not – I don't know.
DeBoer better figure. I mean, he better if he wants to keep his job. He throws Keelan Russell out there and kind of does the same thing Napier just did with Lagway, and kind of give it a we're working on it thing.
I just think this is a humongous overreaction. He's undefeated against Sark and Dan Lanning.
His
and Kirby
press
Smart.
conference this morning was horrible.
I didn't watch it. It was bad.
Can
You got him shook.
He is 9-5 since
Right.
arriving to Alabama, and he is 6-4 in unranked games. Nick Saban against unranked teams was 124-4.
They're also 5-5 in their last 10 games.
That's fine. I don't love including the bowl games with all the opt-outs. Like he's more 9-4. I don't like including bowl games. They don't matter anymore. They're exhibition games. We got to stop including them as a whole. So I don't really take anything away.
It's not too
from
late to jump ship.
Well, no, I'm not
Chase.
jumping ship. So part of it is he beats Auburn at home. That's what you should be doing as Alabama's head football coach. Yeah, you got crushed on the road at Oklahoma. That was a bad one. You still shut out a ranked Missouri team 34-0. You were right there to beat Tennessee.
Lost to Vandy.
Hold on, Vandy was a bad loss, but Vandy was a lot better than we thought. It was a road game. You crushed
Vanderbilt
Georgia.
was not that good last
Hold on,
year.
he still beat
You're
he beat
Bama, though,
Georgia.
Chase. You
He
can't
beat
lose to
Georgia.
Vandy.
He beat South Carolina. He crushed LSU on the road, 42-13. The guy wins a whole heck of a lot
That's what
more.
we were saying. Like, he's a good coach. He's
He's
just
a good
over his
coach. He's
skis.
never going to be what Nick Saban is, but
But no one is.
Your effort has to be better. There's players jogging on the field.
I just think
Florida
if we
State the other day.
if we saw the all 22 of most teams, we would see more of that than we would like. Like it's something that got caught on camera that there was some jogging and lollygag and this, that, and the other. But I'm not going to overreact to it because I think he's so good in big games. He's still got a whole heck of a lot of talent. He's 113-17 as a coach
So
overall.
is this game more about Florida State or Alabama?
I think it's more about Florida State. But I also think Kalen DeBoer, the biggest thing that's going to make or break his Alabama tenure is he has to figure out how to get his guys amped up for games that they are favorites in. They think they can just walk in and out-talent people. Like Nick Saban was elite at making sure his guys were fired up and would beat. I mean, remember, Nick Saban was in a dogfight against USF at home. Like that was something that happened a couple of years ago.
It was also pouring down rain, though, and you couldn't move the ball down the field.
Fine, but he has been in those kind of games. I mean, he lost to UL Monroe early on in
That
his
was his
Alabama
first
tenure.
season.
I'm just saying, this has happened.
He won 6 national titles.
That's great. He's the best
Kalen
coach of all
DeBoer's
time.
not going to win a national title at Alabama.
We don't know that. Kalen DeBoer could absolutely still win the national title this year at Alabama.
No,
It's
he doesn't
not
have
over.
a quarterback.
Oh my goodness.
Alabama. Here's my thing. Like, all that could be true, but I've never seen Alabama get punched in the mouth on both sides of the ball and the line of scrimmage and be as undisciplined as they were on Saturday. In the last 15, 20 years I've watched Alabama.
Do you
play
remember
football.
the last year of Saban's Alabama with Tommy Rees and company and how ugly that game looked and Michigan throwing them around in the CFP game? Like Michigan.
They didn't throw them around. That was a one-possession game.
I'm saying Michigan was the more physical team. Michigan was the
that
better
was
team.
a one-possession game. Florida State, a team that went 2-10 last year with a 5'10 quarterback, walked in there and manhandled Alabama. Alabama returns half their defense, half their offense, top-tier players at every position, and they got manhandled by little Tommy Castellanos.
After he called him out. He called him out.
Florida State went
Yeah.
2-10 last year. This is a portal team.
But
Gus Malzahn just owns him.
Gus Malzahn's a great play caller. He had a great game plan, great scheme for this one. I just am not going to overreact to this
What
game.
about Squirrel's catch? You like that?
I mean, yeah, he got that 140-yard, and then that was it.
I did
Well,
like
Chase,
Squirrel.
how many games do you think Alabama wins this season?
I think I'm still leaning 10. I still think they go 10-2 and make the playoff. I mean, I'm still predicting them to beat Georgia on the road in Athens. I think LSU is a lot more dicey than it was before, but you get LSU at home, you get Tennessee at home. The schedule's still pretty nice for the Crimson Tide. No, I still think they're a CFP team.
How in the world does Alabama go on the road to Georgia? It's going to be a 7:30 kick.
He beat them last year
at home
with a worse offense, I think.
At home. They just lost to Florida State on the road.
He's got to sink with the ship, guys. He's got to sink with it.
I'm not bailing on him. Kalen DeBoer is so good in big games. I'm not
What
going
was
away.
Saturday though?
Not a big game.
What?
Florida State wasn't ranked. They're coming off a
They
2-10
haven't lost in
season.
25 years.
It's the first game. Here's my thing. Like, getting them motivated, it's the first game of the season. You've waited 8 months for this. What other motivation do you need?
Florida State.
I mean, you were what? What was the line for this game?
It was like
13 and a
14.
half.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They
This
thought
is-
they were going to walk right in.
Florida
and just
State
beat
would have
Florida State.
covered if it was the other direction.
This is the fourth time that Kalen DeBoer, as a 2-touchdown favorite, has lost. The
But that's
fourth time.
I'm not disagreeing with. That's his biggest problem is not getting these guys up in games that they are favored in big time. Like, that's something he's got to clean up. But what you're missing here is the flip side of he comes up huge in big games.
He in one big game.
No, not
against
one.
Georgia.
I mean, at LSU, he still crushed LSU.
At LSU, he turned Jalen Milroe to a running back because he had that much trust in him, and they ran all around. They will not be, from judging off of this weekend, they will not beat Georgia on the road.
They're going to beat Georgia on the road.
They'll probably lose to South
How?
Carolina and Columbia.
How do
They're
they
not
beat
losing to
Georgia
South
on the road?
Carolina.
How? Who goes into Georgia and wins these days?
Well, I mean, Georgia has the longest active FBS home streak, but if there's one thing I'm betting on, it's Alabama to beat Georgia.
Oh my.
They love beating Georgia, and they're going to do it again. Kalen DeBoer, big games. Kirby can't beat him. Sark can't beat him. Dan Lanning can't beat him. I'm just not selling the stock yet. I'm not going to overreact too much. Circle back to me in a couple weeks. Poor William. He's still got another show to do. I've got him frazzled.
I've got this show. I've got my overtime. I got my podcast tonight. This is gonna be like 6 hours. I don't know if I'll be more shook again today after that. Until
Between
next
that and the
Monday.
Aguilar comment.
Until next Monday.
Chase back tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Ryan Shepard, Rocket Top Insider. Drive is up next. Y'all have a wonderful afternoon, East Tennessee.